Serpukhov, March 1998. Sunday morning begins like thousands of others. Andrei Voronov finishes his coffee at the kitchen table, leafing through the newspaper. His wife Marina is making breakfast for their 8-year-old son Maxim, an ordinary family in an ordinary town near Moscow. No one knows that in a few hours, their lives will be destroyed forever. Before we begin the story, please write where you are from. We are very interested to know where you are watching our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave your rating. "Dad, when are you coming back?" asks the boy, without taking his eyes off the cartoon on TV. Andrei turns to his son. A strange shadow flashes across his face. "Soon, son, very soon." These will be the last words Maxim hears from his father. At 1:45 p.m., Andrei puts on a dark blue jacket. He kisses his wife on the doorstep. "I'm going to my mother's to help with some things at the dacha," he says, as he has done hundreds of times before. Marina nods, her eyes fixed on the TV. Her husband walks out the door. The sound of his footsteps on the stairs fades away. No one will ever hear him again. In the evening, Marina calls her mother-in-law. "Andrei isn't here. Did he come to see you?" The elderly woman's voice trembles with surprise. "What, Andrei? He didn't call me. We haven't seen him." The phone slips from Marina's hands. The first crack of fear runs through her heart. The night passes without sleep. Marina calls her friends and her husband's colleagues at the factory. No one has seen Andrei. No one knows where he might be. With every no and "I don't know," her anxiety grows. By morning, she is in a state of panic. Monday, March 16th. Marina takes her son to school and heads to the police station. The sergeant on duty lazily looks up from his papers. It's not even been a day. Maybe he's out with his mistress. The words hit her like a slap in the face. Marina clenches her fists. My husband isn't like that. Something happened to him. The case is assigned to investigator Igor Petrovich Somov. 30 years of service have taught him to read people like an open book. Marina Voronova is telling the truth. There is no shadow of doubt in her eyes about her husband. There is only fear for his life. Somov studies Andrei Voronov's personal file. 35 years old, design engineer, 12 years of experience at the factory, wife, child, his own apartment. Doesn't drink, doesn't gamble, no debts. An exemplary family man by all accounts, but even exemplary people can disappear. "Tell me about the last days before he disappeared," the investigator asks. Marina frowns, straining her memory. "He behaved as usual, work, home, family. Maybe he's been a little more pensive lately, but I didn't think anything of it. The first theory is an accident. Somov sends inquiries to all the hospitals in the region. He checks the morgue. The result is 0. Andrei Voronov is nowhere to be found, neither alive nor dead. It's as if he vanished into thin air. On March 22nd, Andrei's car is found. A 7th-generation Zhiguli is parked on the outskirts of Serpukhov, near an abandoned garage. The keys are in the ignition. There are no signs of a struggle or blood. The car is clean, as if it had been specially prepared for inspection. Forensic experts worked for 2 days. The only fingerprints were those of Andrei and his family members. The glove compartment contained the car documents, a spare pair of glasses, and a pack of chewing gum. On the back seat was Maxim's toy robot transformer. Everything was in its place, as if the owner had simply left and forgotten to return. Neighbors recall seeing the car for the first time. No one had ever parked there before. No one remembers exactly when it appeared, maybe a day ago, maybe a week. Few people in this neighborhood pay attention to other people's cars. Version number 2. Kidnapping for ransom. But the days pass, and no one calls with demands. The Voronov family lives modestly. They don't have much money. Andrei is a simple engineer, not an oligarch or a businessman. Who would want a hostage like him? Somov questions Andrei's colleagues at the factory. The shop foreman, Petr Ivanovich, shakes his head. He's a reliable worker. In 12 years, there hasn't been a single complaint. He was the first to arrive and the last to leave. His drawings are a model of precision. Did he have any conflicts? Asks the investigator. Petr Ivanovich thinks for a moment. Conflicts? No. Andrei was quiet. He was friendly with his colleagues, but not close. He kept to himself. He would rush home right after work. His co-worker Viktor Semenov recalls their last conversation. A week before he disappeared, he asked about vacation. He wanted to take it in April. He said his wife had been asking him to take her to the sea for a long time. He was making plans for the summer. A man who is about to disappear does not plan a vacation with his family. The third version is voluntary departure. Somov checks his bank accounts. A month before his disappearance, Andrei did not withdraw any large sums of money. His last transaction was buying bread at a store on March 14th. 100 rubles and change. Not the kind of money you start a new life with. In the Voronovs' apartment, the investigator examines Andrei's personal belongings. All documents are in place: passport, driver's license, employment record book. In the closet hangs a suit he wore to formal events. On the shelf are his favorite books on technology. Could a person really leave his whole life behind? Marina shows family photos. Andrei smiles in everyone. He hugs his wife, holds little Maxime in his arms, stands next to a new car. Happy moments of an ordinary family. What could have made him leave all this behind? Maybe your husband had debts you didn't know about? Somov asks cautiously. Marina shakes her head firmly. I manage the family budget. Every penny was accounted for. Andrei didn't gamble or drink. Where could the debts have come from? April turns to May. The search yields no results. Somov expands his search radius. He interviews distant relatives in other cities. No one has seen Andrei. No one has received any letters or calls from him. He disappeared without a trace, like a stone falling into a deep lake. Marina does not give up. She prints advertisements with her husband's photo and posts them all over the city. A man is missing. Andrei Voronov, 35 years old, description. Passers-by read them, shake their heads sympathetically, and move on. The city doesn't care about other people's tragedies. Every evening, Maxim asks, Mom, when is Dad coming back? What can she say to her child? Marina hugs her son and strokes his head. Soon, sweetheart, Dad will definitely be found. She no longer believes her own words. May turns to June. The phone no longer rings with messages about the search. Friends stop asking for news. Life in the city goes on as usual. Only for the Voronov family. Time stopped on March 15th. Somov is assigned a new case, a murder on Lenin Avenue. The Voronov case takes a back seat. The investigator feels guilty, but there is nothing he can do. The living demand more attention than the disappeared. The summer of 1998 becomes the hardest in Marina's life. Her friends advise her to consult psychics. Desperation makes her try everything. An old woman from Arbat stares at Andrei's photo for a long time. The man is alive. Far away, water is nearby. The words give false hope for a few days. In the fall, she receives a call to appear on the program. Wait for me. Marina travels to Moscow with her heart in her throat. Maybe television will help her find her husband? Bright spotlights shine in the studio. The host asks questions sympathetically. Andrei's photo appears on the screen. If anyone has seen this man, after the broadcast, dozens of people call. Each call is a ray of hope. Marina writes down addresses and phone numbers. She travels all over the Moscow region, Voronezh, Tula, Ryazan. Everywhere she goes, the information is false. Everywhere, there are strangers who only resemble Andrei in the imagination of eyewitnesses. Winter brings the first thoughts of her husband's death. Marina pushes them away, but they return again and again. 6 months is a long time. If Andrei is alive, why doesn't he let her know? If he's dead, where is his body? 1999 begins without change. Andrei Voronov's case lies in Somov's folder. Sometimes the investigator rereads the documents, looking for overlooked details. He only finds new questions to which there are no answers. In the spring, a woman from Voronezh calls. She swears she saw Andrei at the bus station. Marina takes her son and gets on the train. She travels for 8 hours with her heart pounding. In Voronezh, they are met by a local policeman. He takes them to the witness. The elderly woman points to a man in the ticket line. There he is, your husband. Marina looks. A stranger's face, stranger's eyes, stranger's gait. No resemblance to Andrei. Another false hope dies a painful death. It is the summer of the 2nd year of searching. Maxim is in 3rd grade. His teacher asks him about his father. The boy remains silent and lowers his eyes. His classmates tease him. Voronov doesn't have a dad. Marina goes to school and talks to the children. She explains that their father did not disappear on purpose. Something bad happened to him. In the fall of 1999, a man's body is found in the Oka River. His age, height, and hair color match Andrei's description. Marina goes to identify the body, her hands shaking. At the morgue, they lift the sheet. The stranger's face is disfigured by water and time. The expert compares his teeth with Andrei's dental records. It's not him, he says briefly. The year 2000 brings new false witnesses. A taxi driver from Tula swears that he drove Andrei. He shows the place where he dropped off the passenger. Somov checks. The alibi is not confirmed. A bus driver from Kaluga recognizes the photo. A thorough investigation refutes his words. Maxim grows up without a father. The neighborhood boys play soccer with their fathers. Maxim watches from the window, clenching his fists. "Mom, why did Dad leave us?" he asks one day. Marina cannot find the words. How can she explain to a child something she herself does not understand? 1001. 3 years of searching. Andrei Voronov's case is transferred to the archives. Formally, it is not closed, but the active search is discontinued. Somov retires. He hands over the case to a young sergeant. "If you find anything, call me," he asks Marina as he leaves. Marina tries to rebuild her life. She gets a job as an accountant at a local school. The salary is small, but the work is close to home. Maxim needs a mother who is always there for him, especially now that his father is gone. 1002 passes in an attempt to forget. Marina's friends urge her to meet a man. You're still young and beautiful. Maxim needs a father. But her heart is not ready. Somewhere out there, perhaps, Maxim's real father is alive. Her real husband, Andrei's grandmother, his mother, dies in the spring of 2003. She never found out what happened to her son. At the funeral, Marina cries not only for her mother-in-law. She cries for her husband, whom she may never see again. Summer 2003. 5 years have passed since his disappearance. Maxim is finishing 7th grade. He is turning from a boy into a teenager. His character is becoming withdrawn and sullen. The absence of his father weighs heavily on his young mind. September, the start of the school year. Marina works in the school accounting department, and her son studies there too. In the evenings, they do their homework together. Life is settling into a new routine without Andre, but it is stable. Maybe it will always be this way. October 2003. Friday, end of the work week. Marina goes to the dentist. She has a toothache. It's boring in the queue, so she picks up a fresh newspaper, Tverskie Vedomosti, a regional publication she doesn't recognize. How did it end up in a clinic in Serpukhov? She flicks through the pages mechanically. Politics, advertising, announcements. On the third page is a report on the opening of a children's center in Tverha. Photos from the ceremony. Officials cut the red ribbon. Guests applaud. And suddenly, time stands still. In one of the photos, among the guests at the event, stands a man, dark hair, brown eyes, a familiar profile. He is hugging a pregnant, dark-skinned woman and smiling at the camera. The same smile Marina has seen thousands of times. The newspaper falls from her hands. It's Andre, her husband, Maxim's father, alive, healthy, with another woman. Who is this man who has been missing for 5 years, and why did he do it? The answers to these questions will shock you. Part 2. Revelation. Marina sits on the floor of the clinic. The newspaper lies next to her, its pages scattered like a fan. A nurse leans over her. "Are you feeling okay? Should I call a doctor?" Marina shakes her head, unable to utter a word. 5 years of searching, tears, sleepless nights. And here he is, alive, healthy, happy, with another woman. With trembling hands, she picks up the newspaper. She reads the caption under the photo. Among the guests at the opening ceremony of the Rainbow Children's Center are local business people and their families. No names, just faces and smiles. But she would recognize that face among 1,000. She walks home in a daze. Maxim meets her at the door. "Mom, how's your tooth?" Marina looks at her son. The same eyes as in the newspaper photo. "Everything's fine," she whispers. Lying to her child has become a habit over the past 5 years. In the evening, when Maxim falls asleep, Marina takes out her notebook. She looks for Igor Petrovich Somov's phone number. The pensioner lives in a dacha near Serpukhov. He doesn't answer right away. The late call makes him wary. "Igor Petrovich, this is Marina Voronova. Do you remember my husband's case?" The investigator's voice changes instantly. "Of course I remember." "What happened?" Marina swallows her tears. "I found him. He's alive. In Tver with another woman." Somov is silent for several seconds. Then he says quietly, "Let's meet tomorrow morning. Bring the newspaper." There are a few short beeps on the line. It will be another sleepless night. In the morning, the former investigator studies the photograph through a magnifying glass. His gray eyebrows are furrowed. He looks like him. Very much like him. But we need an expert opinion. Marina clenches her fists. "It's him. I know my husband." Somov calls the editorial office of Tverskaya Vedomosti. He introduces himself and explains the situation. The journalist on the other end of the line is surprised. "Seriously? A man who's been wanted for 5 years? Wait, I'll check with the photographer." An hour later, he calls back. The photographer remembers the shoot. The man introduced himself as Alexei Andreev. He said he works as an engineer at a local factory. The woman next to him is his wife, Jessica, an American. She teaches English. Alexei Andreev. Marina repeats the name aloud. How easy it is to take someone else's name and start a new life. But what about the old one? What about his old family, his son who asks about his dad every day? Somov contacts his colleagues in Tver. He explains the situation to Operative Valery Krotov. He promises to check the information on Alexei Andreev. If this is really your missing person, it's serious. 2 days of waiting drag on like an eternity. Marina goes to work, smiles at her colleagues, checks documents. Inside, everything is burning. Anger mixes with relief. Andrei is alive. That's the main thing. But why did he leave them? A call from Tver comes on Wednesday evening. Krotov speaks in an official tone. Alexei Andreev lives at 15 Sovetskaya Street, apartment 23. He works as an engineer at the Volga factory. He is married to a U.S. citizen, Jessica Adams. He received his documents in 2000. Fake documents, a new identity, a new life. Somov shakes his head. 30 years on the run, and I've never seen anything like this. Usually missing people are either dead or have lost their memory. But here? Here what? Asks Marina. The former investigator looks out the window. This is a deliberate disappearance, planned down to the last detail. Your husband didn't disappear by accident. He ran away. The word ran away hits her like a punch in the solar plexus. Marina imagines that fateful Saturday 5 years ago. Andrei kisses her and tells her about his mother's help. But he is actually leaving to start a new life. Without his wife, without his son. Krotov suggests meeting in Tver. They need to make sure that Alexei Andreev is really Andrei Voronov. Marina takes a vacation and leaves Maxim with a friend. I'm going on business. I'll be back in a couple of days. The train from Moscow to Tver takes 3 hours. Marina looks out the window at the autumn forests. The trees are shedding their leaves, preparing for winter, just as she is preparing to meet her past. At the train station in Tver, she is met by Krotov, a man in his 40s, wearing a leather jacket. Are you Marina Voronova? Valery Krotov. Criminal investigation. A firm handshake, a serious look. Are you ready to see your husband? They drive through the city in an official car. Tver is bigger than Serpukhov, more crowded, a good place to get lost among thousands of strangers. Where does he work? Marina asks. A factory in the industrial zone. It's working hours. He should be there. The factory gate is heavily guarded. Krotov shows his ID and explains the situation. The guard shakes his head. Alexei Andreev? Good man, hard worker. What has he done? Nothing yet, replies the operative. We just need to talk to him. The foreman of the workshop where they are taken is surprised by the visit from the police. Andreev? He's a reliable worker, no complaints. He's been working for us for 3 years. His wife is a foreigner, a lovely woman. Every word is like a knife in Marina's heart. Can we see him? Krotov asks. The foreman leads them through the workshop to Andreev's workstation. The sound of hammers, the clanging of metal, the smell of machine oil. It's a familiar atmosphere. Andrei always loved working with his hands. And there he is. Standing at the machine, bent over a drawing, the same dark hair, only with gray at the temples, the same hand movements, the same habit of squinting when he works. 5 years have changed him almost not at all. Marina grabs the wall, her legs buckle. It really is Andrei, her husband, Maxim's father. He is alive, healthy, working 200 kilometers from home, and he knows nothing of their suffering. Andreev, calls the boss. The man looks up and turns around. He sees strangers and becomes alert. His gaze slides over Krotov and stops on Marina. His face turns white as chalk. They stare at each other for a few seconds. 5 years of separation are compressed into a single moment. There is no joy in his eyes at seeing her. In his eyes is the fear of a thief who has been caught. Hello, Andre, Marina says quietly. Her voice trembles, but her words are clear. Or are you called Alexei now? The man remains silent. He stands like a statue, clutching the drawing in his hands. His colleagues begin to turn around, sensing the tension. Krodov shows his ID. Everyone get back to work. This is an official conversation. Let's go, the operative says to Andre. He nods, as if waking from a dream. He puts the blueprint on the machine and takes off his work gloves. He walks slowly toward the exit, like a man condemned to death. The silence in the car is deafening. Andre sits in the back seat, staring out the window. Marina is next to Krodov and turns to her husband. Aren't you going to ask how Maxim is? Andre flinches at the sound of his son's name. How? How is he? He whispers, barely audibly. He asks every day when his dad is coming back. Marina replies harshly. He's been asking for 5 years. At the station, Krodov leads them into an interrogation room. Gray walls, an iron table, 2 chairs, like any police station in the country. Andre sits down and lowers his head. Marina remains standing. Your documents, demands the operative. Andre takes out his passport in the name of Alexei Andreev. Krodov studies it. Issued in 2000. Where did you get it? Silence. I'm asking where you got the fake documents? I won't answer without a lawyer, Andre says quietly, his first words in half an hour. Krodov smirks. You know your rights, fine. In the meantime, tell your wife how things are going. Marina sits down opposite her husband. She looks into his familiar eyes, searching for even a hint of remorse. 5 years, Andre. I've been looking for you for 5 years. Maxim cried every night. Your mother died without ever finding out what happened to you. Andre raises his head. Tears glisten in his eyes. Mom died? He asks hoarsely. In March. Her heart couldn't take the stress. Marina replies mercilessly. The man covers his face with his hands. His shoulders shake. I didn't want to. His words are interrupted by sobs. Krodov watches silently. He has seen different reactions to arrest. This one seems sincere. What didn't you want? Marina presses. To hurt her? What did you want? Explain to me how you could abandon your family and start a new life. Andre is silent. Tears stream down his cheeks, but no words come out. Krodov intervenes. You have an hour to think about it. Then we'll begin the official interrogation. I advise you to consider cooperating. The operative leaves, leaving the couple alone. Marina looks at her husband, aged, tired, broken. 5 years ago, he seemed as reliable as a rock to her. Now she sees a weak man who has run away from his responsibilities. Is Jessica pregnant? She asks. Andre nods without raising his head. When is she due? Marina continues. In a month, he whispers. Soon Maxim will have a half-brother or sister, a child who will never know about their father's first family. Just as Maxim never knew about his second family. Does she know about us? Marina asks. Andre shakes his head. She thinks I'm a widower from Kursk, that my wife died in a car accident. Lies upon lies, a whole life built on deception. The door opens, and Krodov enters with a folder of documents. Time's up. Let's begin the interrogation. He turns on the tape recorder and states the date, time, and participants. Citizen Voronov, do you admit to using fake documents? Andre raises his head. His face is calm and determined. Yes, I admit it. The passport is fake. I got it in Moscow in 2000. The first confession, Krodov makes a note in the protocol. Where did you get it? The investigator continues. At the market in Lyublino. I paid $5,000. Marina shudders. Where did they get that kind of money? The family budget could never have allowed such an expense. Where did you get the money? Krodov asks, as if reading his wife's thoughts. I saved up for 2 years. I sold some of my personal belongings. I borrowed from friends. He had planned his escape in advance. He spent 2 years preparing to leave his family. Why did you choose Tver? Comes the next question. By chance. I was reading job ads in the newspapers. They needed engineers in Tver. It makes sense. A big city, industrial enterprises, lots of visitors, easy to get lost. Tell us about your life in Tver, Krodov asks. Andrei sighs and begins his story. He arrived in December 1999. He rented a room and looked for work. He got a job at a factory through an acquaintance. He met Jessica a year later. She had come to teach English as part of a cultural exchange program. She was young, beautiful, unburdened by the past. She believed his story about his dead wife. Do you love her? Marina asks unexpectedly. Krodov raises his eyebrows in surprise. That's not a question for an interrogation, but Andrei answers honestly, yes, I do. The words cut like a razor, so there was no love left for them, for his first family. Maxim, a 5-year-old boy, got in the way of his father's happiness. Marina, his wife and mother, became a burden. Did he love us? She continues. Andrei is silent for a long time. Then he says quietly, he loved us, in his own way. In his own way is a convenient excuse for betrayal. Krodov returns the interrogation to its official course. Who else knows your real name? No one, Andrei replies. Jessica doesn't know. My colleagues don't know. To everyone, I'm Alexei Andreev. Have you been in touch with your family in Serpukhov? Never. I was afraid they would find me. He was afraid of taking responsibility for his actions. He lived for 5 years knowing that somewhere his son was crying, his wife was suffering, and his mother was dying. The interrogation lasts 3 hours. Andrei talks about his life in Tver in detail and honestly. His work, his daily life, his relationship with Jessica. The ordinary life of an ordinary person. If you forget about the family he abandoned. Why did you decide to disappear? Krodov asks the main question. Andrei falls silent. He stares at the wall, thinking about his answer. I'm tired, he finally says. Of what? Of life. Of responsibility. Of having to be a model husband and father. Marina listens to her husband's confession and feels her last illusion crumble. She thought something bad had happened to him. An accident, memory loss, kidnapping. It turns out he was just tired of them. Do you regret your decision? Krodov asks. Now I do, Andrei replies, looking at his wife. I understand that I caused pain, but at the time, it seemed like the only way out. The only way out of what? Out of a happy family? Out of his wife's loving embrace? Out of his son's trusting eyes? Marina doesn't understand her husband's logic. Maybe she never will. In the evening, Krodov drives them to a hotel. Tomorrow we'll decide what to do next. Formally, Voronov committed a crime. Document forgery, plus fraud in employment, but it's not murder. In the hotel room, Marina calls home. Maxim asks, Mom, when are you coming back? Soon, son. I'm almost done. How do you tell a teenager the truth, that his father is alive, but they don't need him? In the morning, there is a knock at the door. Krodov and his colleagues say, Let's go to Jessica. She needs to know the truth. Marina nods. It will be interesting to see the woman for whom Andrei left his family. The apartment on Sovetskaya Street turns out to be cozy. 2 rooms, renovated, modern furniture, clearly not furnished on an engineer's salary. Jessica probably earns good money teaching. The door is opened by a dark-skinned woman in her 30s. She is beautiful, with a large belly under a loose-fitting dress. She smiles warmly. "Are you here to see Alexei? He's still at work." "We're from the police." Krotov introduces himself. "We're here about your husband." The smile disappears from Jessica's face. "Has something happened? Is Alexei okay?" "Your husband is fine, but we have some questions about him," the operative replies diplomatically. "May we come in?" Family photos line the shelves in the living room. Andre and Jessica on vacation, at a restaurant, at home. Happy, in love, carefree. The life he wanted from the very beginning. "What do you know about your husband's past?" Krotov asks. Jessica sits down in an armchair and strokes her stomach. "Alexei is from Kursk. His wife died in a car accident 5 years ago. They had no children. He moved to Tver to forget." "His wife didn't die," Marina says quietly. "She's sitting right in front of you." Jessica looks confused. "I'm sorry, I don't understand." Krotov explains the situation in detail. Andrei's disappearance, the search, the fake documents. Jessica listens with her mouth open. Gradually, horror appears on her face. "That's impossible," she whispers in English. Then she switches to Russian. "Alexei couldn't. He's an honest man. We were going to get married officially after the baby was born." "He's already married," says Marina. "To me. Officially. There was no divorce." Jessica turns pale and clutches her heart. "I need to go to the hospital," she asks in a weak voice. At the hospital, the doctor reassures her. "The baby is fine, but stress is dangerous. Try to avoid getting upset." Easier said than done. The woman has just learned that she has been living with a man who lied about every day of his past for 3 years. In the evening, Andre is brought in. The confrontation in the hospital room looks surreal. The pregnant mistress is in bed, the legal wife is on a chair, and the deceitful husband is by the window. "Is it true?" Jessica asks in English. Andre nods without looking up. "Why?" she continues. "I loved you and was afraid of losing you." He replies in the same language. Marina doesn't understand the words, but she senses the intonation. It's a tenderness she hasn't heard in her husband's voice for a long time. He declares his love for Jessica. To her, he simply apologizes for the inconvenience. "I'm going to America," Jessica declares after a long silence. "I'll give birth there. The child will have my surname." Andre shudders. "But we had plans." "We didn't plan anything," she interrupts. "A man named Alexei Andreev planned it. You are Andrei Voronov, who has a wife and son." Fair words. Jessica understands that it is dangerous to tie her life to a liar. Today he lied about his past. Tomorrow he will lie about the present. Krotov prepares the documents to transfer the case to court. Article 327 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation. Forgery of documents, plus fraud in employment. The maximum punishment is 3 years imprisonment. "Will you demand a real sentence?" the investigator asks Marina. She thinks about it. Revenge won't bring back the lost years. Prison won't heal the wounds in Maxim's soul. "Let the court decide," she replies. "I'm not a prosecutor or a judge. I'm just a wife who spent 5 years looking for her husband. The train back to Serpukhov takes the same route. But Marina is a different woman now. She is no longer the wife of a missing husband. She is the wife of a man who betrayed them. Ahead of her lie divorce, explanations to her son, and a new life without illusions. In the train car, he thinks about his meeting with Jessica, a young, beautiful, educated American woman. Apparently, this is the kind of woman Andre wanted by his side, not a Russian accountant with everyday problems. At home, Maxime is greeted with questions. How did it go? Did you find what you were looking for? Marina hugs her son and strokes his head. Yes, son, I found it. She will tell him the truth later, when she finds the right words. A week later, Krodov calls. The case has been transferred to the Tver court. The hearing is scheduled for December. Will you come to testify? Marina agrees. She wants to hear what Andrei has to say in his defense. November passes in preparation for the trial. The lawyer explains the procedure and prepares the documents. Maxime is finally told the truth. The teenager listens silently, then locks himself in his room. He cries all night. In the morning, he comes out with red eyes. So, Dad didn't love us? Marina doesn't know what to say. He loved you in his own way, she repeats Andrei's words. But Maxime is already an adult and understands the falsehood of such consolation. December. The trial in Tver. Andrei sits in the dock in a gray suit. He looks older than his age. Jessica left for America 2 weeks ago. She gave birth to a son in New York. The prosecutor reads out the charges: forgery of documents, fraud, causing moral harm, formal articles of law. But what can articles do against broken hearts? Andrei's lawyer asks for leniency. The defendant repents and is ready to compensate for the damage. Family circumstances, midlife crisis, identity crisis, standard excuses. Andrei stands up to say his last words. He speaks quietly, looking at Marina. I apologize to my wife and son. I understand that I have caused them pain. I am ready to take responsibility for my actions. The judge announces a recess for deliberation. Marina walks out into the courtroom hallway. Andrei approaches her. Marina, can we talk? She nods. The conversation she's been waiting for 5 years. Why? She asks, the only question that needs an answer. Why did he do it? What made a model family man abandon his wife and child? The truth turned out to be worse than anyone could have imagined. Part 3. Justice. Why? The question hangs in the air in the corridor of the Tver court. Andrei looks at his wife, whom he hasn't seen in 5 years. There is no hatred in her eyes. There is fatigue and bewilderment. Do you remember our wedding? He asks unexpectedly. Marina nods. How could she forget the happiest day of her life? I swore then that I would always love you. I thought it would be true. Andrei sits down on a bench and lowers his head. And then everyday life began. Work, bills, loans. You changed, I changed. The love was gone. Marina listens silently, familiar words about faded feelings. But is that a reason to abandon your family? When Maxime was born, it got even harder. Andrei continues. Sleepless nights, a crying baby. Your exhaustion. I felt like a stranger in my own home. A stranger? Marina asks. You were a father, a husband, the breadwinner of the family. The breadwinner, Andrei repeats bitterly. Exactly. Not a person, not an individual, a money-making machine. Get up, go to the factory, come home every day for years. His voice is filled with resentment that has built up over the years. Marina remembers those times. Indeed, after the birth of their son, the romance disappeared from their relationship. All that remained were responsibilities, worries, and problems. I started to suffocate. Andrei says quietly. I woke up and realized that another identical day lay ahead. Work, home, TV, sleep. And then another, and another. Everyone's life is like that. Marina objects. It's called responsibility. Maybe, but I couldn't take it anymore. Andrei raises his head. In 1996, I started planning my escape, not from you personally, from this life, from my former self. 2 years of preparation. Marina imagines how her husband came home every day, kissed her, played with their son, and at the same time, planned to leave them. I saved up the money, little by little, says Andre. I sold my father's motorcycle and told you that it had been taken away because of debts. I pawned my grandfather's gold watch. I borrowed money from friends under various pretexts. $5,000 for fake documents, Marina calculates. A huge amount of money for our family back then. I studied how to disappear without a trace. Andre continues his confession. I read stories on the internet about people who started their lives over. I looked for ways to get new documents. Every word is like a knife in the heart. While she was making plans for their vacation, he was planning his escape. While she was dreaming of a second child, he was dreaming of freedom from his first. On March 15th, everything was ready, says Andre. I had ordered a new passport, collected the money, and made a plan. All that was left was to leave. And you left, Marina states. You lied about helping your mother and left forever. I thought it was forever, but my conscience tormented me constantly. Andre's voice takes on a lively tone. Especially when I found out about my mother's death, I realized I had gone too far. But you didn't come back, Marina remarks. I couldn't. I was afraid of your reaction. I was afraid of meeting Maxim. How could I explain to a child that his father had abandoned him? He was afraid of taking responsibility for his actions. It was easier to live a new life than to fix the old one. Andre always chose the easy way out. And Jessica? Marina asks. Was that also a way to escape reality? Andre's face changes. A softness appears that wasn't there before. Jessica is different. With her, I could be myself. No obligations, no baggage from the past. No responsibility, Marina clarifies. Until she got pregnant. Then you ran away again? I didn't run away. I wanted to marry her officially, but to do that, I had to divorce you. And that meant confessing everything. A vicious circle of lies. One lie requires another, and then another. In the end, a person becomes so entangled in their own deception that there seems to be no way out. The court clerk announces the resumption of the hearing. Andre stands up and adjusts his tie. Marina, I know it's too late to ask for forgiveness, but I'm truly sorry. Are you sorry that you were caught, or that you caused pain? She asks. Andre thinks for a moment. An honest answer is more important than pretty words. Probably both, he admits, but more about causing pain. In the courtroom, the judge announces the verdict. Found guilty under Article 327, Part 1 of the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation, forgery of documents. Under Article 159, Part 1, fraud. Sentence, 3 years imprisonment, suspended. Suspended. Andre remains free under supervision. Marina expected this. The court took into account his remorse, the absence of serious crimes, and his character references from work. He is ordered to pay moral damages in the amount of 100,000 rubles. The judge continues. The marriage to Voronova is considered valid until the official divorce. 100,000 is a symbolic amount. Money cannot measure pain, but it is an acknowledgement of guilt by the state, an official condemnation of Andre's actions. After the verdict is announced, Andre approaches Marina. What now? He asks. Now divorce, she replies briefly, and a new life for all of us. Can I see Maxim? He asks uncertainly. Marina shakes her head. He's not ready. Maybe in a year or two, when he figures out his feelings. A knowing nod. Andrei knows that he must earn the right to see his son. He will have to spend years proving that he has changed. On the train home, Marina sums up the situation. 5 years of searching have come to an end. Her husband has been found. The truth has been established. Justice has been served. But why doesn't she feel any better? Maxim is waiting for her at home. The teenager has grown up over the past few months and become more mature. So, what's the verdict? He asks in a grown-up voice. 3 years probation, his mother replies, plus moral compensation. That's not enough, Maxim says harshly. It's not enough for 5 years of suffering. Marina hugs her son. Justice is not in the severity of the punishment. Justice is in the fact that the truth has come out. December 2003 ends with the divorce being finalized. Marina files the papers at the Serpukhov registry office. The grounds are the actual breakdown of the marriage. Andrei doesn't object to the divorce. He signs the papers through a representative. He agrees to pay child support for Maxim voluntarily. Jessica gives birth to a son in America. She names him David, after his father. Andrei learns about this from a letter that arrives in March 2004. Your son is healthy, she writes, but I don't want him to know about your existence. There are too many lies in our history. Another child that Andrei lost because of his actions. Maxim does not want to communicate, and David will never know about his father's existence. In Tver, Andrei changes jobs. The Volga factory fires him after the trial. He gets a job as a mechanic at a car repair shop. The salary is lower, but they hire him without asking about his past. His co-workers learn his story from the newspapers. They treat him with suspicion. Who would believe a man who lived under a false name for 5 years? Marina returns to her maiden name. She becomes Marina Sinitsina, as she was before marriage. It is a symbolic end to a closed chapter of her life. Maxim keeps his father's surname. I am Voronov, he says firmly. I want to remember what my father should have been like. 2004 is spent establishing a new life. Marina meets a man at work, Sergei, a physical education teacher. He is kind, reliable, and loves children. I'm not rushing into a relationship, she tells her friend. After what I've been through, it's hard to trust again. Maxim enrolls in a technical college to study programming. He studies well and is fascinated by computers. He doesn't ask about his father. It's a painful subject. Andrei tries to reconnect with his son through social media. Maxim reads the messages but doesn't respond. It's too early for forgiveness. Kausen 5 brings closure to the story. Marina marries Sergei. Maxim accepts his stepfather and calls him Dad. He now has a father he can be proud of. Andrei learns about his ex-wife's wedding from social media. Photos of a happy family. Marina in a white dress, Sergei in a suit, Maxim between them. Life goes on without him. He writes his son one last message. Congratulations on your new father. Be happy. If you ever want to talk, I'll be waiting. There is no reply. In America, Jessica marries a fellow teacher. David gets a stepfather who officially adopts him. His surname changes from Adams to Martins. The circle is complete. The two families destroyed by Andrei find new happiness without him. 2010. Maxim graduates from technical college and enrolls in university. He becomes a programmer, as he always dreamed. He works for an IT company in Moscow. He doesn't think about his biological father. Sergei gave him what Andrei couldn't: stability, support, and unconditional love. Andrei lives alone in a one-room apartment in Tver. He works, comes home, watches TV, the life he once ran away from. Sometimes he meets former colleagues from the factory on the street. They greet each other reservedly and walk past. The reputation of a man who abandoned his family sticks with him forever. He follows his son's successes on the internet. Maxime posts photos from work with his friends and girlfriend. He is a successful young man who has built a life for himself. Turn 15. Maxime marries his classmate Olga. The wedding is modest, attended only by close friends and family. Andrei looks at the photos and cries. He will never see his son's wedding. Marina is happily married to Sergei. They move to Moscow and buy an apartment. Their son lives nearby, and their grandchildren will be close by. Tone 18 brings news of the birth of a grandson. Maxim becomes the father of his son, Artem. Marina becomes a grandmother. Sergei becomes a grandfather. Andrei learns about his grandson by accident. He sees a photo on Maxim's friend's social media. A little boy is in the arms of his happy father. He writes a congratulatory message but does not send it. What can a grandfather say to a grandson he will never see? 20. Andrei turns 57. He celebrates his birthday alone, as he has for the past 15 years. His colleagues give him a cake and offer formal congratulations. In the evening, the phone rings. An unfamiliar number. Andrei picks up the phone. "Hello? This is Maxime," says a voice he hasn't heard in 22 years. "Your son." His heart stops. Andrei sits down, afraid to fall. "Maxime? Son?" he whispers. "Yes. I'm 30 years old. I have a son, your grandson." The voice is calm, mature. "I want to talk." "Of course. When? Where?" Andrei rushes. "Tomorrow. I'll come to Tver. We'll talk like men." The night passes without sleep. Andrei cleans the apartment, buys groceries, rehearses what he will say. What can he say to his son after 2 decades of silence? Maxim arrives on Saturday morning. He is tall and handsome, resembling his father in his youth. But his eyes are different, hard, mature, without childish trust. "Hello," he says as he enters the apartment. Not dad or father, just hello. "Hello, son," replies Andrei. His voice trembles with emotion. They sit down at the table. Maxim surveys the surroundings. Modest furniture, an old TV, a lonely existence. "Is this how you live?" he asks. "Yes, alone, for many years now." "You deserve it," says Maxim harshly, but without malice. It's a statement of fact. "I deserve it," agrees Andrei. Maxim takes out a photo of his grandson, a 2-year-old boy with curly hair and intelligent eyes. "This is Artem, your grandson." Andrei takes the photo with trembling hands. He looks at the child he will never see. A handsome boy. "He looks like you when you were a child," says Maxim. "Mom showed me some old photos." How is Mom?" Andrei asks cautiously. "She's happy. She has a good husband and a loving grandson. Her life turned out well." There is no reproach in her words, but Andrei hears the subtext. "It turned out well without you." "I'm glad," he says sincerely. "I always wanted her to be happy." "It's a strange way to make people happy, by abandoning them," Maxim remarks. The conversation lasts 3 hours. Maxim talks about his life, his studies, his work, his wife, his son. The usual things a father should know. Andrei listens and realizes that he missed the most important things: his son's first words, his first steps, his graduation, his wedding. All the important moments passed without him. "Why did you come?" he finally asks. Maxim thinks for a moment. "I wanted to see you, to understand if it was worth suffering all these years." "And did you? Did you understand?" "Yes. It wasn't worth it. You're just a normal person who did something despicable. You're not a monster or a villain. You're just weak." The words hurt more than any reproach. Maxim doesn't hate his father. He despises him, and that's worse. Do you forgive me? Andrei asks. I don't forgive you, and I don't condemn you, his son replies. I just accept it as a fact. I had a father who abandoned us. Now I have a stepfather who loves us. Maxim stands up, ready to leave. We won't see each other again. I don't need this. What if you want to talk? Asks Andrei. I don't want to. I got the answers to my questions. That's enough. At the door, he turns around. Live in peace. No one's stopping you. But don't expect happiness. You have to earn it. The door closes. Andrei is left alone. Forever. The year is 2023. 25 years have passed since the disappearance. Andrei is retired, his health ruined by loneliness and remorse. Maxim has achieved success in IT, is raising a son, and is planning a second child. Marina is now a grandmother of 2. Sergei is a caring grandfather. The family is strong, close-knit, and happy. Jessica defended her doctoral dissertation in America and became a university professor. Her son David is in college and does not know about the existence of his biological father. 3 lives that crossed paths a quarter of a century ago. 2 found happiness. 1 remained destroyed. Igor Petrovich Somov, a retired investigator, sometimes recalls the Voronov case. A strange story, he tells his wife. The man could have divorced humanely and started a new life, honestly. Why make things so complicated? His wife shrugs. He was probably afraid of responsibility. It's easier to disappear than to explain yourself. Valery Krotov, an operative from Tver, tells the story to his young colleagues. Remember, crimes against the family are the most serious. You can steal money. You can kill a person. But destroying a family means killing trust, love, and faith in goodness. In the archives of the Serpukov Internal Affairs Department, Andrei Voronov's case lies in a folder marked Closed, Person Found. The dry lines of the reports do not convey the drama of the lives that were destroyed. Andrei lives in Tver and works as a warehouse guard. His salary is small, but it's enough for his modest needs. He has no friends, no family, no hope for the future. His only joy is photos of his grandchildren on social media. He looks at them secretly, like a thief. The children are growing up without knowing that their ghost of a grandfather exists. Sometimes he thinks about suicide, but he stops himself thinking, what if Maxim changes his mind? What if he wants to talk? He won't. His son made it clear that his father doesn't exist to him. 2024 brings news of illness, lung cancer terminal stage. The doctor is blunt. 6 months, a year at most. Andrei is not upset. Death seems like liberation from endless loneliness. He writes his will. He leaves his apartment and savings to Maxim. Not out of love, but out of a sense of duty. He spends several days writing a letter to his son. I don't ask for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just want you to know that I regretted what I did every day. Love your children. Don't repeat my mistakes. Maxim receives the letter after his father has already passed away. He reads it and cries. Not for his father, but for the lost years that could have been different. Andrei Voronov is buried in Tver. Only his colleagues attend the funeral. Maxim does not come. The dead are not forgiven, he tells his wife. The inscription on the monument reads, Andrei Voronov, 1963-2024, a man who lost his family. The epitaph is true. He didn't deserve any better. The story is over. Justice is not served by the court, but by life itself. Those who knew how to love and forgive found happiness. Those who chose selfishness were left alone. Maxim is raising his children with love and care. He tells them about their grandfather, Sergei, a man who became a father to someone else's child. He does not mention their biological grandfather. Why spoil the children's view of the world? Marina rejoices in her grandchildren and thanks fate for giving her a second chance. Sergei turned out to be the man she deserved, reliable, honest, loving. In America, Jessica sometimes thinks about the Russian engineer who lied about his past. She tells her son, "Everyone has secrets. The important thing is that they don't ruin other people's lives." Igor Petrovich Somov, a retired investigator, sums it up. 30 years on the run taught me one thing. Family is sacred. Those who destroy it are themselves destroyed. The story of Andrei Voronov has become legendary in Serpukhov. It is told to young families as a warning. Appreciate what you have. What is lost cannot be regained. And in a small apartment in Moscow, 2 boys are growing up, the grandsons of a man they never knew. Artem and Kirill play with their grandfather Sergei, laughing and enjoying life. They have what their father did not have, a loving family. The story is complete. Justice has been served. Good has triumphed over evil, just as it should be in real life. Question for viewers. Do you think Maxim did the right thing by not forgiving his father even before his death? Or is forgiveness a duty children owe their parents, no matter what they are like? Share your thoughts in the comments.